Hey guys! So, to start the day, I picked up my iPad and started thinking about how I could progress. I thought about having a square as a base for all my pieces and then add knobs or sockets on top of that. To prevent having to make many models, I could just rotate the piece when needed. So, with that in mind, I can have a grid with many pieces, start from the bottom left and select a random piece. Then, from that point, I can go up by one unit. The second piece will have its bottom edge constrained by the first piece, so I will have to randomize the two other edges, and so on. This seemed like a pretty cool solution, so let's try that. To determine the configuration of each puzzle piece, I thought about using something similar to the configuration I've used in my marching squares course. The only difference here is that I should use a base 3 system, not binary. I honestly didn't know it existed or if it was useful, but if you want to know, it's called a ternary numeral system, and its base unit is a trit, similar to a bit for binary. We'll find out more on that later, maybe another day actually. Alright, so with this plan in mind, I jumped to Blender to create a slightly better socket or knob, hole, and guess what? It didn't work. Here is my genuine reaction. Come on, it was working yesterday. Every developer's reaction. I tried to reverse the vertices, but it was another failure. So I rolled up my sleeves and found out another way I could make that piece, using splines. Exactly. Splines are basically just points, and I can have them in the right order. So I grabbed the DreamTech Splines package and created a simple spline, and guess what? It worked. Here's another genuine reaction.
Sure!
It's even simpler than using Blender. Now I can have everything in the same software. To avoid the emotional elevator, I flipped the spline, tested the knob, and it worked flawlessly. What a discovery it was for me. Alright, on to the next step now. After it was working for one edge, I wanted to try the other ones using the same logic. But that's not as trivial as I wanted it to be. Actually, that's okay. I just had to rotate the vertices of the splines and skapoosh. I did not precise it, but I've made a really simple scriptable object to store the splines and their scale. That made it really easy to switch between knobs and holes. At this point, I couldn't resist but to share my progress on Discord. That was huge for me. To push it even further, I decided to add some sliders to set up the trits I told you about at the beginning of the video, and this made testing so much nicer. And also added a bit of spice to this video, actually. Yeah, of course. I need to think about content here. I'm working from home, so from time to time, my beloved wife comes and say hi. Here, I showed her how simple it was to change the shape of the edges. And I guess I'm also showing that to you now, yeah? So before adding the grid, I wanted to try something else, as to know being able to move the knobs and holes along the edges. Biggity baggity boo, we have it now. Of course, it did not work from the first try, but with a bit of patience, everything is possible. It also has its limits though. If two holes intersect, the mesh disappears. I guess the algorithm is not meant to treat these cases. But yeah, next step is the grid. I did not have time to implement it today, unfortunately, but this will be tomorrow's goal, now that I can make almost any shaped puzzle piece I want. Have an amazing day. See you tomorrow. Peace.